Hello and welcome to some messy little film reviews. Today we're going to talk about Ingrid Goes West, and I'm sorry if you can hear kind of the air conditioning in the background. I am in Florida helping take care of my grandmother at the moment, and it's just too hot to turn the air conditioning off just for better sound quality. Sorry about that, but you gotta survive in this world, you gotta do the best that you can. But anyway, Ingrid Goes West, I would like to say, while I do to give some constructive feedback on movies, for the most part, I either enjoyed these movies, I especially did kind of like Ingrid Goes West, and it made me think about some things. Is it a perfect movie? No. And I just kind of talk about how what I would have done as a producer to do the script, because that kind of trains my brain that way and makes me a better producer and makes me, realize. But that's not to shame any of the filmmakers. Anybody who can complete a movie should be proud, because it's not easy. I think even if you're handed a bunch of money, I don't think it's necessarily easy to make a movie. It takes a lot of work and a lot of organization, so to get anything into a theatrical release is something to be admired. So just want to preface that, because I haven't said it in a while, and I think it's important to just remain supportive and not be a big meanie all the time and a negative Nancy. So anyway, Ingrid Goes West. I will say, I don't know that I've ever felt that anyone has ever mastered social media on film, and I don't know if it's somebody too young is doing it or it's somebody too old, but I just feel it never feels in real life social media to me. But I don't know, maybe I use social media differently, but I would just say that I've never been able to be I've never seen somebody on screen and be oh yeah, that's exactly how I use social media. It doesn't feel like that. Maybe Pretty Little Liars, maybe, and even then I think I would have told. But anyway, so Ingrid is in a bit of a pickle because she's pepper sprayed. Oh my goodness, a tongue twister. She pepper sprayed a bride at her wedding because she was not invited. I will say, this hair does not look like it fits Aubrey Plaza. She weirdly reminds me in style and hair of my friend Karuna, who is amazing. I might attach her stuff so that you can go follow her there, because she's a super cool person. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it fits Aubrey Plaza, and maybe I'm so used to her April Ludgate look, but it is a little, the hair definitely makes her look strange, right? Because it's very long and in braids. But unfortunately, her mom died, so you kind of understand why she's acting like this. It's in response to this grief, which is very sad. And she's just on her phone all day. She got $60K in life insurance. But for me, I'm she's just on her phone. $60K honestly is not that much, especially in Los Angeles. That's what you need for a year to live. But maybe their house is already paid for and she's saving money. Anyway, she spends $2,900 on a Lakers jersey. Is that really, is that what y'all doing? What's happening? Please don't. That's so awful. So she meets this one woman. So she meets Elizabeth Olsen. Yes, the Olsens. The twins. Wild that the third one ended up becoming the super mega star, and they were just kid actors. I can't imagine the family dynamic. But anyway, so once she meets Taylor Salome or whatever, Salamone I think is her name. Salome, what is she, a lunch meat? I love that for me though. Anyway, so when she meets her, she orders the same thing as her, which is a little weird. I mean, it looked good, but anyway, then she ends up buying the same book. She goes to the same salon. She gets her hair blonde. It's getting a bit creepy. She steals Taylor's dog to get basically her attention, be rewarded as a hero. It's really messed up. This woman has issues. Obviously her mom died. She's going through mental illness, but the landlord who invited her over is allergic to dog and doesn't want her to have any pets. Oh yeah, so for sure. And yeah, and her landlord is just doesn't want it, but she stole the dog, and then she doesn't take the reward, thank goodness. At least there's that. But she's out here making her own destiny. She wants to be friends with Taylor Salome, who she saw on Instagram. So they make her dinner to reward her for the dog, and they talk about when they had to pee on a jellyfish bite. That happened to my mom too. And Taylor's husband is this technophobe. He uses a flip phone. Honestly iconic. But basically it's their photographer who's married to an artist. They have $1,200 paintings that are just hashtag squad goals over classic paintings. I honestly I see why it sells. Like, I kind of love it low-key. I don't personally want one, but I, like, respect it. But anyway, she then Ingrid asks to borrow her landlord's trailer, and she would have it back before the table read, because her landlord needs, like, a replacement because he's trying to get the script off the ground. And in his truck, he has, like, a gun and the Batman soundtrack, and he gets a check engine, but she borrowed the truck. And then Ingrid lies that the landlord is actually her boyfriend who writes movies. Pretty good. I really liked his performance in that. Yeah, his name is Dan in this, and it's O'Shea Jackson Jr. I don't really know much of his work besides this. Anyway, then they're, like, taking pictures in Palm Springs. They're bonding. They make a guy get on the ground to take the perfect photo. A little bit a lot for me there. I could never do that myself. So they do cocaine because it's in the car, and then, unfortunately, Ingrid ends up scratching the side of the car really bad, which, like, Dan is not gonna like that. So they go to, like, this boutique for hotel. Everything is for sale there, and Taylor admits that her husband Ezra is, like, weird about money, and Ingrid, like, is taking pictures of Taylor when she sleeps. It's kind of creepy. I definitely took a picture of my boyfriend when we first started dating when he was sleeping, because he was such a cute sleeper, and then he woke up and he was like, you gotta tell my agent about that, and it was very funny. But it was just, like, for me to, like, remember the moment, but that probably was creepy. Anyway, Dan had to cancel the table read because Ingrid, like, messed up and, like, wasn't around for it, and Ingrid promises to pay for all of it, and then talks about cocaine in front of the cops, which is not good, because Dan called the cops on her because his truck is stolen, and Dan was, like, worried about her, and Ingrid is like, you weren't worried about me, you're worried about the truck. And then, you know, he thinks, like, she's two-faced because she's being, like, really weird, because she, like, gets an apartment in Venice from him. That's, like, kind of how they know, and it's super expensive for rooming. It's, like, $3,000. It's a lot. But anyway, but now, because she got into a photo, she's got 1,000 followers because of her photo shoot with Taylor. But she's spending thousands of dollars. She's spending so much money. Also, remember that person she, like, sprayed? Yeah, so the person that Ingrid had sprayed in the face at the beginning wasn't even her friend. It was just a woman she became obsessed with on Instagram and felt that she had a personal connection with. And Ingrid had literally moved to California for Taylor, and that's how she met Dan, who is obsessed with Batman and an aspiring screenwriter. Ingrid paid her rent in cash, which is a lot. It was definitely a little bit of a red flag, but alright, whatever. Ooh, also fun fact, O'Shea Jackson Jr., his daddy is Ice Cube. What? And definitely Dan sometimes he'll call out Ingrid on her behavior, sometimes he'll let it slide. But anyway, they're about to launch this party in, like, 2 to 3 weeks, but Ingrid kind of gets ditched at the launch party, and, like, Taylor's hanging out with Charlie. They're launching this thing called Little Doe. Ingrid didn't bring Dan, who she lied and said it was the boyfriend for the truck when Taylor was, like, asking all these questions. And now, like, everybody's starting to think that, like, her boyfriend is invisible. And then she wasn't on the list, and she had to leave. And the shirt she was given was, like, bought 2 years ago. So then she ends up smoking with her landlord, Dan, because she's upset. And Dan goes in more into his Batman obsession because Batman is, like, an orphan and a human. And Ingrid admits that her mom was her best friend, so that there's, like, kind of this emptiness, and you know why she's, like, kind of losing it. And that her mom was a waitress on a date to her dad. But anyway, her and Dan end up getting it in. I honestly kind of do ship them and wish things ended better for them. I don't remember if they're good because I obviously reviewed this movie, and I'm just getting to it now. The fault of all my reviews is that I'm just not quick enough on them because I'm doing a million things at once, but I like to put these for movies just in case, like, I need inspiration for later, so hopefully you still get an enjoyment out of them, but sorry they're not perfect. I can do better. But anyway, everybody's starting to get weird about her because Ingrid will go to the party and she will talk about her boyfriend, but yeah, or she's like, she brings Dan to it, but she's like, oh, I said you're my boyfriend, but, like, don't talk a lot. Ingrid feels like she's getting in the way. Nikki is the brother who has, like, a drug problem, and he's, like, staying for 2 to 3 weeks. And it's so interesting because Ingrid is kind of an idealized Taylor's life, but Taylor's life, like, clearly there's some issues with her husband. Nikki, she's got like a drug addicted brother that is a lot of stress. And Nikki suspects that something's weird with Ingrid. And he's just on it. But anyway, Ingrid kind of like hates Nikki because Nikki can kind of suss her out. And then it finds out that Taylor told Boutique to like another friend. And Nikki kind of confesses that like Taylor only has temporary friends. And then they tell Ezra's secret, who he says is Deer Park is her favorite book, which is, I don't really know what Deer Park is, so I don't know. And then they call Nikki like Coke Nose Beer. There's just like a lot of drama, which is very interesting because it's like, oh, this portrayal of this great life, but there's like tension and stress there. And anyway, Nikki is like, he's getting especially weird with Ingrid because he knows that Ingrid has pictures of Taylor sleeping, which is weird. And he's looking out for his sister. She knows that too. She's like pictures of the medicine cabinet, and like her own medicine cabinet is kind of just filled with a lot of antidepressants, which is, there's a lot of judgment in taking them, and there was actually a lot of medicine, so I understand being concerned. I definitely had the same concern with my mom. But anyway, Ingrid just insists that she wants to be Taylor's friend, which is true. It's just that Ingrid doesn't really know how to be a true friend, but like, the password to Ingrid's phone is Nikki's sister's birthday. So Nikki has a phone, and he's like, he wants $5,000 a month for the phone, which I think is really messed up of him to do. And at first I was like, oh, she could just delete the photos, then he doesn't have anything. But Nikki is a really smart one, as a lot of addicts can be. And he has already forwarded everything to his phone. So Ingrid's kind of losing it. They're asking people to punch on face, and she basically tells Dan because she's messed up, and they end up kidnapping Nikki, and they fight with like a paintball gun, and then Ingrid hits Nikki with a crowbar, it's just super intense. It escalates so quickly and is really, really rough. And then Taylor ends up finding out because of course Nikki, once he's like discovered and is like injured and stuff and healing, he tells Taylor, and Taylor doesn't want to see or talk to her, and because Nikki told them everything. And Ingrid like doesn't want it to end like this, so she keeps calling them, and Taylor then is like, leave us alone, and the voicemail box is full from like all of her messages. Like, it's obsessive. And then she buys like for $50,000. I don't even know how she had all this money. I mean, maybe I guess she had more money from like investing in life insurance or like whatever job. I don't really understand, but she buys this Joshua Tree place next to them, but she doesn't have any money, and she can't get any power or electric. And even Dan, who's like messed up from the way that the Nikki situation got out of control, won't message back. So Ingrid then tries to sneak into their party and gets caught. And she then, because she was ghosted, I'm assuming she does like ghost noses and says boo. And Taylor is nice enough to like, she's like, okay, I'm going to give her 5 minutes to explain herself. And so Taylor just kind of is like, listen, like, it's just, you're being so weird about Instagram, girl. Like, she's like, everything about me is a lie. And it's like, you're, and she kind of says that, like, everything about Ingrid is a lie, too. But then Ingrid's like, you know what, you're a lie. Your brother's a drug addict. Ezra's an alcoholic, and he hates you. And then Taylor's pretty much done with that. She doesn't need that blood over self-esteem, because I think her Instagram is one of the only ways she can feel better, because it's like a break from reality. And she just basically says that she never liked Ingrid, and that Ingrid is a sick person and needs professional help. And Ingrid then kind of, I think, hears that maybe and is starting to like come down to reality and conquer her mental illness. So she sells the Joshua Tree and the house for money. I guess that's maybe where she had extra money than her mom's, because she moved to California, so she could sell that house. So that makes sense where she's got more money. Just putting it together. They don't like go and explain all that stuff in the movie, but I just realized now because I'm silly. But anyway, Ingrid gets real on Instagram Live. Love that. Love getting real on Instagram Live. Need to do that more. And Ingrid, I mean, she ends up like attempting suicide, sorry. She attempts suicide because she doesn't have anyone to share everything with. And she feels like, what's the point of living? And she overdoses. And then she wakes up surrounded by candles. And she kind of goes viral for this because she shared this live as a goodbye. And the hashtag I am Ingrid. And the minute she wakes up in the hospital, she wants phones, but she's like surrounded by all this like fan gifts. She gets balloons from fans. Dan comes in on a motorbike. He's called 911. He has a neck brace from like the fight with Nikki. But yeah, she went viral as an inspiration by talking about killing herself, which is very interesting. I don't know how that would go in real life. I am interested to hear what you thought about this movie in the comments, because it wasn't like my favorite, but I thought it was good. I was definitely very inspired because there's this like scorpion bowl that they do in a tiki hut that actually I'm close to now, and I went there and I drank that with my friend. It's a huge bowl, so definitely don't undertake it alone. But yeah, I like this movie. I usually enjoy Aubrey Plaza. She's not like my fave, but she's never been in anything like super bad that I've seen her. So yeah, what do you think? What do you think about Instagram culture? I like the dark comedy on it, and I hope that we continue to do films that kind of explore like the obsessiveness of social media like this, because I think it's really fascinating. So let me know what you thought about Ingrid Goes West, and let me know any other movies you'd like me to review in the comments, and make sure you subscribe. Here you can find, I'll post personality quizzes, obviously other movie reviews, my podcast, which is on children's movies reviews. If you want to be a guest on that, feel free to message me. Also, every donation you have helps me employ things for my production company, which has a couple of shorts here that helps me employ other diverse artists. And, why not? Why not make money doing art? So, have a good one. Thanks so much for listening.